Hello, Geeks and Gamers. Matt Lemke here at Gen Con 2014. We're at the 1A Games booth, and come on down, check it out. We're going to talk a little bit today with Chris about their games, which is Crosshairs. Well, Testing Grounds is actually what most people are probably familiar with it by, and Tide of Iron, and some future stuff. So go ahead, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Williams. I'm the operations manager here at 1A Games. For those of you who don't know who we are, which would be most of you, we produce Tide of Iron now under license for Fantasy Flight. They got a little busy with some little licenses you might have heard of called Star Wars and Game of Thrones and World War II. Not quite as sexy. So we took it over last year. It's been a little bit of a rocky start for us because we were out of core game for a long time, which doesn't help the supplements move. But here at the show, ta-da, there it is. Tide of Iron Next Wave, the new edition is here. The new edition, that's a scary phrase for a lot of people. Everyone's like, oh, you changed the rules, I'm going to have to buy a whole new thing and spend a lot of money. No, that didn't happen. Next Wave, really all we did is we went back to the large box, put it down in the smaller box. So one, it's the same size as all the other boxes in the line. Easier for you to store, easier for us to ship. We went to the rule books next and said, you know, they're nice rule books, it's a good set of rules, but they're not laid out as well as they might be. Rules would be on one page, examples, illustrating the rules would be like a page or two away, and it was very confusing. So we went in and re-laid out the rule books so that it is much easier for new people to enter into the game very simply. Now, instead of having to read a big thick rule book and not being able to start playing for, say an hour and a half, excuse me, all you got to do now is read this. It says read me first right here at the bottom. It's about 6 pages long, and it walks you through your first 3 games of Tide of Iron. You'll be blowing up tanks and shooting infantry inside of 10 minutes. And then after that, you move on to the full-on rule book, and then there's another book that explains all the different tokens and such and whatnot that go with the game. One of the big complaints we had about the old edition was that the scenarios that came with it were largely unbalanced. This or that scenario, one side always won over the other. It was virtually impossible for the other team to win at all. And so we took a hard look at a lot of those scenarios and rebalanced them so they're much more equitable for both players. Everybody's got a fighting chance now. And there you go. We made all of those rule books, scenarios, all that stuff available as a free PDF download right on the website, www.1agames.com. Poke around, find them, check them out. They're free, they're yours, go get them. You don't even have to buy the box. If you have the old big box, you don't need this little box. You've got everything that's in there, and you're good to go. Good to know. So, yeah, we did add some plastic. We changed the plastic mix in the box a little. We noticed some of the scenarios only called for, say, 4 M10 Shermans, but the box came with 6. We went, what are they giving you 6 tanks for when you only ever need 4? So we took out those extra couple of tanks and we were able to replace them with some of the tank destroyers from Normandy. So it's not really new plastic, it's new in the box. But if you have Normandy already, you've got those tanks. So no worries, nobody's going, oh, I gotta spend $90 just to get one new tank. No. And that's the third point about Tide of Iron Next Wave. Smaller box, smaller price tag. $100 was a big hurdle for people who had never played the game before, and now it's under $100. All right, it's only $10 under $100, but it's still less than $100. And that's what we have to say about Tide of Iron. We'll show you some components, and we'll show you a demo here in a couple of minutes. But now I want to move on and talk about our first original game, Crosshairs Testing Ground, which I like to sum up with the phrase, mutant bunnies with machine guns. Crosshairs is the brainchild of a nice guy by the name of Jesse LeBay. He's a comic book artist who did some graphic novels called Barona's War a while back ago, and he cleverly set up the books. So in the back of the books there were some pages that looked like all of the characters in his little books there were statted out for a game. And he had a lot of fans that came up to him and said, wow, I want this game, where's this game, where can I get this game? But there was no game. There was no Barona's War game, but that idea stuck with Jesse. He said, hey, I should do a game. So he designed this game called Crosshairs Testing Ground. They're different characters. They got nothing to do with Barona's War. Oddly enough, now we get people who come up to us all the time going, "Where's the graphic novel? I want the graphic novel for Crosshairs. Where's the Yeah, there's no graphic novel, not yet.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Slowly.
It is. But Testing Ground is a fairly straightforward, follow the path kind of game. If you played Candyland or Chutes and Ladders when you were a kid, you understand how to play this game. You're going to roll your dice. You got little tokens. You're going to move them along the path. Yeah, exactly. All you're trying to do is get from one end of the board to the other end of the board. Each player has a little character, got a little card on it. Let me grab one here. There we go. Double-sided character card with stats on one side and art on the other.
Good art.
Very beautiful art. And the characters have different pieces of equipment or special abilities that they can pick up or activate as they move along the path toward the end. You will interact with the other players. You're going to shoot your guns at them and throw grenades at them. You're going to land on the same peg, square as them, and punch them in the head. But all of that combat is resolved simply by shoving each other around the board. There's no hit points. Nobody's going to get knocked out of the game and have to go sulk in the corner for an hour while we all have fun. Everybody gets to play all the way through to the bitter end. Like with most board games these days, there's cards. There's cards you pick up and hold in your hands that are generally good for you. There's cards you'll flip over as you move along the board that are going to represent monsters or different environmental hazards that you'll run into that are generally bad for you. And then there's a third set of cards that represent global events that are generally bad for everybody playing. In a nutshell, that's Crosshairs. It's for 2 to 4 players. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. And again, we'll give you a nice close look at some of the components and a quick overview of how the game plays in just a couple minutes here. Thanks for listening to me yammer on.
What about down the road? Is there more Tide of Iron and more Crosshairs?
There is going to be more stuff in both lines coming. First things first, for Tide of Iron, over this shoulder. There it is. Over that shoulder. We will be reprinting Days of the Fox, which was the North Africa expansion for Tide of Iron. We're going to give it the same treatment that we gave to Tide of Iron. That is, we're going to go into the rule books and streamline them, reformat them so they're easier to access. We're going to rebalance some of the scenarios, and we might change the mix of plastic a little. No new plastic. Don't worry. I have to buy a new set just for one tank. No, you don't. But we're going to make it easier for the new guys to get into it. When we bring that back, we will finally have the entire Tide of Iron line in print all at once, and that'll be a good thing for us. Moving into next year, we would like to start developing some smaller, what we'll call starter sets. Next wave that I was showing you before is the core rule set. You have to have that to play the game. There you go. But still, $90 is kind of a high entry point for some people. We want to come up with some smaller rule sets that will focus on, say, just infantry rules or just armor rules. And those sets will run hopefully around $50. You won't have to have the core set to play with them. You can use them all by themselves, and if you decide you like the game, then you can move up to the core set, or you could buy the other, starter set. If you've got the infantry set, you can buy the armor set. Let's plug the two together and pretty much have what'll be in the core set as far as the rules are concerned, and then you can move forward that way. It's not a secret. We would very much like to move Tide of Iron into the Pacific Theater. A lot of the fans have been going, we want Pacific Theater, we want Marines and island hopping, we want Wake Island, we want Iwo Jima, we want Okinawa, we want all these things. So that's what we would like to do. Bill and Craig, who are our chief developers for Tide of Iron, are doing all the research now, trying to figure out what different kinds of troop types, what tactics were used by the different troops, what different kinds of terrain we can have, different armor that was used in the Pacific, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of material there for us, and we want to help bring that to you, because that's what you guys seem to want from Tide of Iron. Crosshairs, when we ran the Kickstarter for it in December, the stretch goals, 3 of them involved expansion sets for the game, and we unlocked all 3 of those stretch goals. So we've got 3 expansion sets already in the pipeline. The game just came out here at the show. Jesse is hard at work on the first expansion set, which I hope to have off to the press soonish, and we're looking at having the first expansion out January, February. Christmas would have been nice, but it's not going to happen. And then we've got 2 more expansions right behind that. I'm hoping that we'll have at least 1 more of them out by Origins next year, and then the next one after Gen Con. So, stuff in the pipe for Crosshairs. It's not going to be a flash in the pan. Here's your game, we're done, see ya, have fun. There's going to be more stuff.
And where can they find you? Facebook, Twitter?
We have a Facebook account, so just go on to Facebook and look for 1A Games. There you are. Go like the page. We're posting stuff there. I'm taking pictures here at the show every day and slapping them up. So if you're not here, you can see what's going on. You can obviously go to our website. We have mailing lists. They're tailored, so don't feel that if you just hit a button, you're going to get emails about everything and go, I only care about World War II. What do I care about bunnies? Or I only want the bunnies. Why don't I get these World War II emails? You tell us what you want, and we will get you the Tide of Iron mailing list, the Crosshairs mailing list, whatever mailing list you want to be on, that's the mailing list we will put you on. What else you want to know, man?
I think you did a good job covering it all.
There you go.
Let them know where you're at. You talked about all the expansions. You're doing good at the show. And thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
We're at booth 2643, so if you're here in Indianapolis, come by and check us out. Thanks, man.
Thank you.